All right, howdy. Who else is getting lots of green beans right now? It is certainly that time of year. Our plants are producing like crazy, but that doesn't mean there's not some sections of the patch that couldn't be doing better or could use a little help. So I'm going to talk about some problems that green beans have and common fixes to make them produce better for you. So green beans are an easy crop to grow. The problem is they still get issues, and those issues can come on quick and take out a whole patch quick. So it can be pests, it can be fungal disease, it can be the leaves giving you signs, overwatering, underwatering, not enough nitrogen, too much nitrogen. Um, so I'm going to try and give some tools to help diagnose what some of these things could be. So one of the biggest things you'll run into are pests. So the top three for green beans: aphids, Mexican bean beetles, and cutworms. All of them do something pretty different, so they should be kind of easy to tell. So aphids, usually on the other underside of the leaves will be really sticky. They kind of make it so the plant's just not growing as well as it should. It's stunted. Um, some natural solutions for that: spray neem oil, insecticidal soap also work. Ladybugs are great predators for aphids, so if you see ladybugs in your garden, don't kill them. They're good guys. You can pinch off the infested leaves as well. The Mexican bean beetle, what you're going to see are holes in the leaves, skeletonized leaves. These guys eat the leaves. Hand picking them is one solution. Row covers to keep them out completely are another one. Neem oil also works on these guys. And then their main predator are wasps. So you can try and encourage some wasps to come into your garden and gobble those guys up. Cutworms, these are a little less common, but they are actually the most detrimental to your bean crop. So cutworms, they saw the stem off right at the base, so your whole plant dies. Diatomaceous earth and crushed eggshells work best for this guy. It keeps the grub from even being able to come up out of the soil to affect your plant. So that kind of covers pests, and they all have their own unique signs and control measures. So you can look at this post, it goes into it a little bit more deeply. But the next problem you'll see are yellow leaves. Yellow leaves have three common causes. The first is overwatering or poor drainage leading to root rot. The next one is a nitrogen deficiency, and the last one is compacted or depleted soil. So those all kind of play into the same problem. So overwatering means your soil isn't getting enough oxygen, you're getting root rot. That's the same as compacted or depleted. So you just need to work on making sure that soil is draining well, air is getting into it. And then nitrogen, if your bottom leaves are going yellow and your soil has not been had a nitrogen application, that could be a good problem. So we don't want to make sure we're not giving too much nitrogen. That causes its own problems. But yellow leaves at the bottom can be a sign of a nitrogen deficiency. Soil moisture meters are beautiful for making sure you're not overwatering your crops. What about when you've got lots of blossoms, but there's not any pods coming? That's another one of the problems. This has kind of three main culprits. The first is not enough pollinators. So if you've got lots of buds, but you're not getting any pods, that means you might not have enough pollinators. So you can add dill, zinnias. Those both attract pollinators. They have very fragrant smells that bring them in. If you're in a bit of an insect desert, you can use a soft brush and hand pollinate your green beans. That's a bit more work than I'm interested in, but it does work if your issue is lack of pollinators. Another problem is too much nitrogen. So we just talked about not enough nitrogen. Now we'll talk about too much nitrogen. If your green beans are very, very green and leafy, they're putting all of that energy from the excess nitrogen that they're getting into leaf growth, not into making green beans for you. So focusing on phosphorus and potassium help balance out too much nitrogen and get you to get green beans for your harvest. The last one can be temperature stress. So green beans don't love extremes. If you're getting extremes, that's going to impact their ability to produce green bean pods for you to eat. So um, shade cloths can help. Adjusting when you plant in the season can help. Another one would just be watering at the base of the plant and not overhead. If you're getting too much water on those blossoms, you're decreasing the pollen for pollinators. You're also potentially knocking some blossoms off as well. So watering at the base is another important thing to do if you've got blossoms but no buds, or I mean no pods. Fungal diseases. So this is more if your leaves are always wet. Rainy weather can bring this on. Common fungal infections are rust. That's this orange one here. Um, Anthraquinose is another one that's streaks on the stems and pods with sunken lesions in the plant. It kind of looks like it just had a spot that can't heal. And then the white dust is powdery mildew. That's another one. So all three of these can spread pretty rapidly if you don't keep them in check. The good news is it's a lot of time a management problem. Unless you have really, really wet, rainy weather, most of the issue is probably you watering in the evenings and getting a lot of water on the leaves, both of which the plants don't like. So water at the base, apply a mulch later, so that way when you are watering, it's not splashing up onto the leaves and the blossoms. And then if you're still not really able to get those fungal issues under control, you can spray with a baking soda solution or a diluted milk spray. Both are just common things you should have in your house, and um, no chemicals, and they should take care of those fungal issues. The last problem, again, is a bit of a management problem. Tough or misshapen green bean pods. A lot of times you didn't harvest quick enough. It's not that anything wrong happened. It's maybe it was going to be a smaller pod and you let it go too long and the bean developed too much in there. So now you've got tough pods. So that that can just be kind of a management problem. And irregular watering also will lead to this. These plants, to get perfect production, like perfect conditions. So, yeah, the plant can survive and it will produce if it's only getting rain once a week. But if you watered it every other day and had mulch down to keep the moisture level there between waterings, you're going to end up with a much better product at the end. And then picking them every day, or at a minimum every other day once they're in full harvest mode, is the best way to make sure you're getting soft, tender green beans. So we'll go over a few do's and don'ts really quick, just kind of highlighting what we went over. So make sure that they're not overwatered. Make sure that it's not wet. Check the soil moisture before watering. Mulch to retain the moisture and reduce soil splash. Apply nitrogen, but not too much. Test your soil pH. Make sure it's between 6 and 7. That's where green beans like to be. Your dead plants or your diseased plants, don't compost them. Don't add them to the compost pile where you might inadvertently spread infection. Harvest regularly and don't let your pods get too large or stringy. Um, Add companion plants for pollination. And then water at the base. Don't overhead water. Make sure your plants have proper spacing and aren't overcrowded. All of those can be things that invite fungal diseases for your green beans. So one last time, we'll quickly go over what can go wrong. So if you've got green bean problems, here's a quick troubleshooting card. Pest damage, you'll see holes in the leaves, wilting seedlings, sticky residue, and it's the top three insects: aphids, bean beetles, cutworms. Yellow leaves. Causes are soil moisture, being too wet. You need to improve drainage, maybe check the nitrogen levels and add nitrogen. If you've got lots of blossoms but no pods, you probably got a pollinator issue or high nitrogen. Heat and cold stress can also cause those problems. And then lastly, fungal issues, usually a ventilation issue, too wet, watering at night. So I hope these tips helped. I hope you have a wonderful green bean harvest this year. They're one of my favorite vegetables, especially fresh. Nothing beats just going out in the garden and picking a few and snacking on them while you're pulling weeds. So I hope your harvest goes well, your growing goes well, and you've got a bountiful reward at the end. Until next time.